Hello and welcome to Nick's Allotment Diary. It's been a while since I've made a video. That's mainly because I haven't really felt up to it. The situation that we're in at the moment has got me down and I didn't feel able to make a video. I've been speaking to a few friends and they suggested if I made a video it might make me feel a little bit better. So here is a plot tour of my allotment in November. It has been a while since you've seen the allotment. Firstly, this was the no-dig bed that had the squashes and some potatoes in over the summer. I've cleared this bed now. A few little weeds, surface weeds, and it is ready in the spring to put on a top dressing, ready for new crops to be planted. We move over to this bed. This was the one that had the garlic and onions in and some dwarf French beans. Again, I've removed all of those now because they've all finished. There is a single sunflower left, still trying to flower in November. Most of the flowers have turned to seed heads, but I'm leaving those on for the birds. The wind that we've had has certainly blown this one down. It is still hanging on because it is staked, and I'm going to show you some further sunflowers in a little bit later in the tour. Over to the middle bed. Sweet corn was all gone. Got quite a bit of sweet corn this year from the plants that were planted here. Managed to get them before the rats and the mice had them. All that's left in this bed now are the parsnips and some carrots. I have managed to harvest a few carrots. They're not very big. They're these little tiny carrots. They haven't been very good quality, and as you all know, I'm not very successful with carrots. Brassicas. We have had a bit of problem with slug and caterpillar damage, but I have managed to harvest a few cabbages. Got some kale there that's still hanging on, and purple sprouting broccoli. Nice cabbage there. That one's golden acre cabbage. And on the edge I've got some Brussels sprout plants, but they've not grown very tall, so I'll probably not get any sprouts for Christmas, but maybe I'll get some in January or February. Over to the bed with the plum tree in. Quite a few weeds in this bed. I have got a few dahlias that are still flowering. Got some nice yellow ones here, and these white ones. So they're looking particularly nice, even though we're in November. They are tender though, so as soon as we get some frost, they'll be blackened. You can lift the dahlia tubers to overwinter them. I think last year I didn't. I left them in the ground and they survived. We did have quite a mild winter. So what I'll probably do is leave maybe one or two of the plants in and lift the others. Talking of the plum tree in this bed, I've given it a bit of a severe pruning this year. Did it a couple of months ago. The tree had grown much too high for me to harvest the plums, so I've reduced its height significantly, and hopefully I should get some plums next year that I can actually reach. Moving over to the herbs. This is the curry plant. Smells of curry when you bruise the leaves. And rosemary. That's done really well this year. Over to the strawberry bed. That definitely needs some TLC over the winter. I need to thin out the strawberry plants. You can see here it's produced loads of runners and they've gone over into the bed with the sunflowers. So I'm going to sort those out over the winter, reduce the number of plants that I've got, and hopefully get some decent strawberries next year. Now we move over to sunflowers. Still a few hanging on in this bed. There are some of the taller ones. The flowers are more or less finished. But again, I'm leaving as many of the flowers as I can for the birds to eat so they can get the seeds. We have had quite a bit of wind over the last week and they have managed to survive that. That's probably because they're staked and that has allowed them to stay here. If they fall down, rats or the mice will be able to get the seeds. I have harvested some of the seeds myself to keep for next year. But I'm leaving the majority of them for the birds. Over to the flowers. In November, still the calendulas are flowering. They seem to flower for most of the year. Seem to survive even over winter. And this Macedonian scabious has got loads of flowers still on it. That's done really well in this bed this summer. I love the colour of these. Surprisingly, there's still some roses in November, and the verbena has done really well. It's self-seeded itself all over this bed, so I'm going to have to remove some of the plants over the winter. So this bed still needs to be sorted out, and I will need to cut back the roses, but I normally do those in about February. Into the greenhouse. There are a few peppers left on the pepper plants. They've not grown very big this year. I've not had great success with my peppers. Those are about the size, those are about the largest of the bell pepper size that I have, which is probably only about 3 inches across. I have had a few of these pointed peppers. They've done okay, but it hasn't been a good year for me for peppers. Removed the tomato plants out of this side of the greenhouse now. I will remove all this compost out and use it to top up the beds that I'm making no dig, and then I'll be putting in fresh compost for the plants next year. Now into the fruit cage. The fruit bushes that are in here are now losing their leaves. These on this side are blackcurrants. There is gooseberry and red currant plants. I've also got a few plants that are in buckets that need to be planted back in the soil. I'd taken these home at the start of lockdown earlier this year so that I got a chance of having some plants at home if I wasn't able to get up to the allotment. This one is a white currant, so I'm going to plant that in this position here. And we also have another black currant and red currant bush that needs planting. So I'll get those in over the winter, probably in the next few weeks to be honest, before we get any heavy frost. And then the fruit cage should be as full as I'd like it. I've got a couple of blackberry bushes here. These are the thornless blackberries, but I've decided I don't really want those growing in here because they do take over, so I'll be removing those and giving them away to anybody else who wants them. I need to prune these fruit bushes. You can see some of the branches are a little bit congested, and winter is an ideal time to cut them back and just get them shaped how you want them to be, so you allow plenty of air into the bush for fruiting. I do still have a few buckets of potatoes that I've not turned out, some of which I shall wait until nearly Christmas and turn those out for Christmas dinner. This year I've decided to plant some garlic in buckets. I did have quite a big problem with white rot earlier in the season, so I'm using the compost that I had the potatoes in and planted some garlic cloves, and as you can see, the shoots are starting to emerge already. I hope you enjoyed that tour of my allotment in November. Thanks very much for joining me at Nick's Allotment. I'll see you again next time.